Hi, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Dave.
We're glad you're here.
Thanks for checking out Kotaku Bonsai.
Yeah, I always pinch myself because, I was just a poor farmer's boy, really, and I never dreamed I was going to be around the world and through tiny little trees. And so I keep pinching myself, well, here I am in New Zealand, lots of parts of Europe, and I thought I'd never, just from tiny little trees, I'm here. So during college, I met a friend there from Hershey. His name was John. And John Rowe and I worked the summer of our senior year here at Harrisburg and Hershey. And then I talked John into going into business. He said, well, we got customers already. Let's give it a 5-year plan. And if it didn't work out in 5 years, we got our degrees, we can just go on and do something else. And so we went into business in May of 1973 and worked our butts off. We were paying ourselves on a good week $50. And so we weren't making a lot of money, but we were putting it back in the business and so on, buying trees and stuff. And then New Year's Day, he came and said, I'm resigning. I'm going to do the buyout. And we worked our asses off for 3 years. And then the 4th year, the business really took off. It more than doubled. The next year, it doubled again. Next year, it doubled again. And I was doing all the design work then. And then I hired 2 designers. And the business has grown. And, well, 52 years later, we're still going strong. And Bonsai was growing much more in my life. And so decided, well, it's going to be 1/3 of our business. We do interior scaping also, and landscaping, and then the bonsai. And we still today do all 3. And I wasn't interested in bonsai in college. Right after, though, I went to a demonstration and said, oh, I want to try this. I want to do it. The demonstration was at Ashcombs, and the man there was the curator of the bonsai collection in Longwood Gardens. And after his demonstration, I asked him, who else could I talk to about bonsai besides you? And he said Chase Rosade right away. So I called Chase and made arrangements for him to meet me at his nursery. And he said, well, I'm working. He said, you can follow me around and whatever, but I'm not going to stop work, just to talk to you and everything. I said, fine. And so that morning I was there 3 hours. One of the things we did is I was helping clean a maple tree, Japanese maple. That was pretty old, probably we'll say 50 years old, I don't know. But it was 3 feet tall and broad and pretty well developed. And he had me doing little minor things while he was doing pruning on it and so on. And so I said goodbye. And the second half of that day, I was meeting a classmate of mine from Del Valle. He had just got a job at Bartlett Tree Service. And so in the afternoon, I was in a 70-foot maple tree climbing with ropes. He was teaching me how to climb with ropes. And so I put everything in perspective. Same age trees, one 3 feet, one 70 feet. And it was all relative, though. You do the same things, just in different ways. And so that was my really first day of bonsai and first day with Chase. And then after that, I saw him at symposiums, and I couldn't afford to take workshops, so I just did observers and things like that. But I kind of dog-tailed him a little bit, and without him knowing, and we became friends over the years. And but I studied under many people, Yuji Yoshimura from Japan, Lynn Perry Outstadt. She was in Erie, Pennsylvania, but she studied under Murata. She was one of the first women to study in Japan seriously. Bill Valavenis, who's a friend of mine from Rochester, and Nakamura also from Japan, and Larry Jackal, I mean, there's a lot of people that influenced me with bonsai. So I didn't study under a person or a master. I don't like that term, but a personal knowledge of bonsai. I didn't study, like a formal study, but I learned a lot from so many different people. And like Marion Gillenswan, she was one of the first students of Yuji's, and she and I became friends. I learned a lot from her. I learned a lot techniques that I probably wouldn't have been taught by men from women, and I really appreciated my time with them because they had a different look at trees, more, of course, I'd say feminine look, but at the same time, understatement, which was a big statement in bonsai. So I really learned a lot from the women in bonsai. And I learned how to be more creative with Chase and Yuji. Chase always told me, he said, do something different. He said, try something there. You're going to fall on your face, but get up and try something else. So he was always encouraging me to do things other than classical bonsai, which in the beginning, that's what I was learning. And Yuji kind of did the same thing. He said, Jim, you know horticulture. You keep thinking about trees growing and how they're going to grow, and not how the art of growth is going to happen. So he had me looking at books of Japanese blueprints and things, the blue indigo, and one page would be just one pattern, next page another pattern. So he had me doing things like that, and he had me go outside, lay on my back, and look at clouds. And I said, spend some time, watch how they move, how they create. And I thought, wow, this is kind of different. But it helped. It helped me get away from horticulture, more into art. I see, and I still today see, torsos in trees. And that's my foundation of design. So I'll look at a tree and I'll look at the trunk first and imagine a person, and then how that torso will move in a dancer's mentality. I got married in 1982, Mary Kay and I said to Mary Kay, I said, before we start a family, we want both to have children. I said, before we start, I got to go to Japan. I mean, I have to go to Japan. So we saved up, and the two of us went. We went for 3 weeks, nothing except a backpack. Each of us had a backpack, and we knew where we were staying the first 2 nights and the last night, and everything else we just made up. And we got a rail pass, and so I went through Chase and Bill. They gave me their cards. I went to different bonsai nurseries that they recommended, and I showed them the card. I said, I'm a friend, and so that was kind of a door opener. So I got to meet the owner of the nursery and all that, and had tea with Saburo Kato and his wife, and things like that I'll never forget. And I was also there to learn about Japanese garden design, because that's what we specialize in with our landscape, is Japanese garden design. So went to a lot of gardens, and so it was quite an education. So we came back, or while we were there, I always tell this story, while we were there, we decided to try to start having a family, so we could tell our kids they were made in Japan. And then that didn't happen, but shortly after, we were blessed with our daughter. So that was the first trip, and I don't know how many trips, say between 15 and 20, I've been to Japan, and I've been to China 3 times. Today I still import pottery, and we have our own tool line. First time I went to a symposium, I could only go, it was down in Maryland. I could only afford to go Sunday, and Sunday was like 9 to noon. So I paid my fee, went in there, and in 3 hours I learned so much. And I thought, oh, how am I I want to go to these and learn more. And I went in the vending room, and I had like $50 to spend. I bought a turntable and I think a tool. And so anyways, I was talking to the vendor. I said, how's this work? You know, you come in and you vend, can you go to the lectures? And he said, oh yeah, that's included. Most symposiums, vendors can go in the lectures anytime. So that's when the wheels started spinning. And so I thought, I'm going to become a vendor. And then I can get my education for free. You know, and if I break even or even lose a little, I'm getting my education. So I became a vendor in 1986. And the first one was the 10th anniversary for the National Collection. It was in a big hotel in Washington, D.C. And to this day, I don't know how I got in, because you had to be asked. And I think, and Chase says he doesn't remember, but I think Chase might have recommended me. But anyways, I went in and vended and was able to go to the programs, and I made a little money, and so I became a vendor. And so I've done, over the years, I haven't counted completely, but I've saved all the records, but I've done over 500 shows as a vendor. By teaching also, and I tell my students that, I said, when you feel comfortable, you start teaching. And I said, I learned so much through teaching. You learn 10 times more than the student does, because you prep a class, and I'm kind of academic, so I would research the subject and write notes or write an outline before I even taught the class. And so I have files and files and files of different programs that I've done over the years, and then say, oh, I haven't taught upright windswept in 20 some years. I have a file on that, so I can pull it out and review it, and if I need to. I mean, I don't rely on notes anymore, but in the beginning I did. But I really researched, you know, if I was going to talk on Japanese red pine, I really researched Japanese red pine, and to a point that I felt very comfortable about teaching it to somebody else. That was very helpful, and I have lots of students that are teaching now. I have 2 interns presently, and so I hope they're learning, and they assist me in classes and things like that. People have commented, you know, you just go into it, you just start pruning or wiring, and you're not thinking about it. I said, oh, my hands already know what to do. And so, you know, through this, some things is from repetition over 50 years, some things just become natural on that. But also, I like to step back on the tree and look at it and say, oh, what else could I be doing besides what I'm doing right now with it? And so that's still a learning process. That's something you never stop learning, and never stop looking at a tree and how it's going to develop, because it grows. It's a living art, so it grows. I've had friends all over the world, and that's number one. It's friendship. It's a community. And I always stress that here and places I go. Having just plants as a common bond with somebody is all you need. I'd say most people that do bonsai are very honest, very giving. They share. It's kind of a wonderful community. So that's the main thing I get out of bonsai. Others is knowledge, which I've always sought knowledge in different ways. I meditate, so through meditation I see trees in different ways, and having that come while meditating sometimes is a big reward. Of course, I'm in a business, so I have a living. I make a living doing bonsai. I don't make a lot, but I make a living, and comfortable living, and I guess the other main part of bonsai is creation. Creating something from a seed to a seedling, a branch on a tree that you graft or root, the miracle of life. That's very rewarding.